Coming up on Chicago Bears Now, we got a Bears news and rumors roundup. Let's start with this. The NFL trade deadline is tomorrow, and I've just been thinking about this since the loss to the Cardinals. Should the Bears trade Keenan Allen? I think yes. I'll give it 3 smoking J's because I'm not convinced it will actually happen. If it were me, just if I made the decision, I'd give it 4 smoking J's, but I'll go 3. I think the Bears should at least be open-minded to this. Because, quite frankly, it just hasn't worked that well. He missed a couple of games with the heel issue. It's possible that's still a nagging injury. Who knows? But clearly, at minimum, he's declining as a player. Now, is he as bad as his numbers look and how he's looked on tape and during these games and some uncharacteristic drops? Probably not, but I think his days of being a high-level number 1 are clearly over. It doesn't help also that the Bears just aren't using him properly. I mean, Shane Waldron has decided let's make him like a one-on-one vertical weapon as a receiver. It's like Shane. He's a short area quickness guy. Slants, stutter fake outs and ends, like that type of stuff. Against zone, find the soft spot and settle. Like that's his game, knowing where to go. He wins on technique, not on speed. And they're trying to use him as a speed guy. It makes no sense whatsoever. And with him being a rental and a free agent next year, and I think there's a thing when you're in the NFL for 10 plus years, the best you can get in a comp pick, if you let him go in free agency, is a 5th. So if you could trade him to guarantee a 6th, would you just consider doing that? Because based on your production, what would you even get in a comp pick formula situation? That's a complete unknown. So I would heavily consider trading Keenan Allen because, shocker, guy who's been awesome throughout his career comes here as an offensive player and just doesn't look the same. And doesn't it just kind of feel like both sides would benefit? I don't think Keenan's the type to come out and say, trade me. But I think behind closed doors, if someone asked him, like, yo, would you rather just go to a different team and just try to kind of get back on track the second half of the season, I think you'd say, yeah, I would like to do that. And if you're the Bears, it's like, guy's 32, free agent after this year. You're probably not bringing him back. Why not just trade him and say, hey, we appreciate your services for a few months, helping our rookie quarterback out. Best of luck to you. I think all these teams would be interested in him. Pittsburgh has been hunting receivers for months. There was a report that came out that Kansas City would still be open to another receiver. Now, with their financial situation, you'd probably have to eat some of the money. Any team that trades for Keenan would have to take on about $10 million, so maybe the Bears would have to eat like 5 or 6, depending on the team they trade him to, but it's 1 year. I think they'd be open to that. 49ers, obviously Brandon Ayuk is out for the season with an injury. Debo's been in and out, so I think they could be an interesting one. The Houston Texans, they were the team that also tried to trade for him before the Bears swooped in. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. If they're trying to salvage this season, a guy like Keenan could come in there and instantly be one of their top guys. Now, look, you're probably not going to get much for him. You traded a 4th to get him. He hasn't been that productive. He's had a heel issue. You're probably looking at like a 6th-round pick. I mean, that's the reality. He's a rental. He's old. He looks slow. I mean, it might even be a late-round pick swap. So you'd have to consider that. You're not going to get a ton, but I just look at this, and it's like you're not targeting Cole Kmet. You're probably taking away targets from DJ Moore, who you just paid big money to, Rome Odunze, who you drafted high. You got other depth receivers I'd like to see more of. We'll talk about one in a minute. I feel like a trade could be a win-win for both parties, and you just kind of wipe your hands clean of it and kind of take the L on this one. Would you trade Keenan Allen for, let's call it a 6th-round pick? Type T for trade or K for keep. Let me know in the comments. Pin comment on today's video. I'll give you my final answer after this YouTube ad break. I'd pull the trigger. I would move him, especially if it's for a pick where you don't have to do a late-round pick swap. 6th-round pick, it's not great, but you only gave up a 4th for him, so it's not the end of the world. I would move him in that scenario and just move on from that situation. Not that he's been bad in the locker room or anything like that, but it just hasn't worked out. He's dropping passes. They're using him as a vertical guy. Cut your losses and move Keenan Allen there. And then I would like to see Tyler Scott get some opportunities, especially if a few more losses pile up. Like I think DeAndre Carter has proven that, yeah, like he can play. Like he's a good number 4 receiver. When Keenan was out, he made some plays. He had a nice sliding catch against the Commanders a couple weeks ago. Like he's solid. But you drafted Tyler Scott in the 4th round last year, who showed some potential last year, 17 catches, has some vertical ability. Now, clearly, there's some questions there. I mean, he's not even getting opportunities, so maybe he's just not that good. But I'd like to find out, especially if the Bears fall out of the hunt here, which we're dangerously close to that with the impending schedule coming up after this Patriots game. So, to me, trade Keenan, make Rome and DJ your focal point in the passing game, along with Kmet, and then give guys like Tyler Scott an opportunity, because I don't think we need to see Keenan Allen get high targets at this point, unless you're going to drastically change his role, which is what they should do if they keep him. But do we trust this coaching staff to do that? I'm not really sure. All right, subscribe and join us tomorrow. Bears trade deadline coverage. I'm thinking 12 o'clock Central will go live, so stay tuned. That's not exactly set in stone, but trade deadline's at, I think, 3 Central, or is it 2 Central, 3 Central? It's 3 Central, I believe. So either way, we'll be live at least a couple hours before the deadline, break down every move around the league, and obviously any trade that the Bears make or any rumor around the Bears that's out there. So hit that sub button, turn on notifications. If you hit those noties, you'll know exactly when we go live. Okay, no change at offensive coordinator. Matt Eberflus announced today that Shane Waldron will continue to call plays for this Bears offense. Obviously, Flus is under fire by me and plenty others. Waldron has drawn lots of criticism, as well as this Bears lost all of their momentum that they had before the bye week offensively, and Caleb has really struggled the last couple of weeks, as has the entire offense. Here's Matt Eberflus on what changes they could make, which this is an impressive answer, sarcasm font. We're looking to find answers, and that's where it's at. The changes we're going to make is we're going to look inward and make sure that we're doing a good job of utilizing our talent and our skill, and just general basic execution of our plan. We have to make sure we're doing that going forward. It is political season. That sounded like a politician. That's a lot of words that aren't really answers. Now, I don't expect them to go out there and just give you their full plan, but do we really think they have a good plan? I would suggest there's a lot of evidence that they don't. I didn't expect him to demote Waldron. I didn't expect the Bears to fire Flus. That's what I would have done. But they're sticking with the status quo, it sounds like, and they're going to find answers within, they say. And color me shocked if that does not happen. All right, more to discuss here. But first, I do want to show some love to our sponsor, to our ticketing partners, Game Time. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring Chicago Bears Now. Get off the couch this fall and go to a sporting event, whether it's a Bears game, Bulls game, Blackhawks, any other team of your liking, regardless of where you live. If you need to get a ticket, Game Time is the place to go. Download the Game Time app today. If you're a first-time customer, use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply there. Their newest feature, Game Time Picks, makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams and performers play much easier, because it's going to narrow down the thousands of tickets that you would normally have to scroll through with some other ticketing apps. It'll kind of show different price points within the venue, and you can kind of figure out based on your budget what the best seat you can get. Sometimes they show super deals, which are the best bang for your buck. They'll discount certain tickets, so that's a pretty awesome feature as well. Game Time's awesome. Views from the seats within the app, so you can know exactly what your vantage point is. Like I said, code CHATSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right. I've made my stance clear. You guys know where I'm at. Matt Eberflus should not be this team's head coach. Not today, not tomorrow, not next season. Shouldn't have been yesterday. I would have fired him after last year, especially once you made the decision to switch quarterbacks. He's just not good enough. So we could talk about this OC thing all day long, and Waldron's clearly an issue right now, and yada, yada, yada. But, as long as Flus is the head coach, there's a clear ceiling on this team. You can be competitive a lot of weeks, but you're not going to beat good teams pretty much ever, and you're going to see mind-blowingly bad coaching decisions in play at times. So you guys know where I stand. I'll continue to preach it, but Matt Eberflus, if he's the head coach of this team, you don't have much upward trajectory as a franchise. That's just the reality of the situation. Now, obviously, as of now, he's not going anywhere. Waldron's still going to call plays. So in terms of changes I would make based on those facts, if Keenan Allen is here, ditch the vertical routes with him. He needs to be an underneath, short area quickness guy, because that's who he is. I think you got to lean on DeAndre Swift more. Just take some pressure off your quarterback, run the football, be patient in that regard. More crossers in quick game. Some of this could be Caleb, where maybe he's not choosing to take checkdowns or underneath throws, and that crept into his game the second half of his last year at USC. So I think there's probably some responsibility on his shoulders there too. But you really just got to coach and emphasize, hey, let's balance the downfield throws with the underneath stuff, and some of that is you just got to call more crossing routes. You got to call more slants and drags and mesh and things of that nature, and part of that goes into that with the quick game is your tight end. You've got an excellent just safety valve at tight end in Cole Kmet. Where is he? Where the hell is he? 0 targets in a game? That should not be allowed. If I'm Flus and Ryan Poles, I'm going into Waldron's office and saying, if he gets less than 4 targets a game, you are going to be fired. That cannot continue. So Cole Kmet needs to be more involved, and you got to get this quarterback going again, man. Regardless of the wins and losses the rest of the way, regardless of who the coach is going to be moving forward, we got to feel better about the quarterback by the end of the season than we do right now. I felt awesome about him going into the bye week, regardless of comparing him to Jaden Daniels. I don't want to do these comparisons. How do we feel about Caleb Williams once week 18 comes and goes? It needs to be better than how we feel about it now. And that falls on the coaching. Obviously, he's got to just play well, but the coaches have got to do a better job than they're doing right now. And if you're not going to make any changes in terms of who's actually coaching, these are some just basic schematical and strategy things that I would implement immediately if I was Chicago. Can Eberflus and Waldron turn this thing around? What do you think? Y for yes and for no? I don't see how you could believe that they could. Could they? I have no idea. I guess we'll see. But I would be betting against it if I was a betting man, and sometimes I am. Let's talk some injury stuff, then we'll end this segment. Darnell Wright, this news came in late on Sunday night that he apparently sprained his MCL in yesterday's loss, and I think I was so caught up in the debacle, I didn't even notice when he left the game. So that's not ideal. Now, it's better than an ACL tear or something like that. I would say he's likely week to week. I mean, MCL sprain for a lineman. Going to guess he misses at least this game against the Patriots, and that leaves your offensive line pretty decimated. He was one of 4 guys that left the game and did not return against Arizona. Andrew Billings, chest, pec injury. That's worrisome because Bill Murray had a similar injury last week and was placed on IR, so keep an eye on that. Terrell Smith, who started in place of Tyreek Stevenson, he left with an ankle injury. Jalen Jones, another backup corner, left with a shoulder injury. So secondary is getting thin all of a sudden, especially if Brisker and Gordon can't return this week. Hopefully at least Gordon's back. He was close to playing, it sounds like. And that adds to the other injuries you already have. Brisker still in the concussion protocol. Kyler Gordon, hamstring injury. Montez Sweat couldn't give it a go with the shin. Braxton Jones, Karan Amagaji each have injuries. With Darnell Wright potentially missing a game, you really need at least one of those guys back to pair with Larry Borum. And then Ryan Bates, who's still on short-term IR, dealing with the shoulder. Hopefully he can come back as well and potentially play on that interior if you need him to. Now, all that being said, there's no excuse for how you played against Arizona. I get it. These injuries are piling up. But that does not equate to getting steamrolled 29-9 and just giving up a 55-yard touchdown at the end of the first half when Arizona is seemingly content with just running the clock out. Go watch Detroit against Green Bay. No Aiden Hutchinson. Other couple of guys got banged up. Brian Branch got ejected, and they just smoked the Packers. Smoked the Packers. I got news for you. Arizona's worse than Green Bay. So, yeah, I understand the injury thing, but it's no excuse for me. I'm done with excuses when it comes to this coaching staff. Is the Bears season over? 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Is that where we're at? Type 1 for yes, type 0 for no. I want to say no. I feel like it is. I guess you beat the Patriots this week. You're back above 500. Let it rip the final 8 weeks, but you tell me. You think this team can – what's best case scenario in the division? 2-4? 3-3 would be a huge accomplishment at this point, so feels like it could be over pretty soon. All right, thanks to everybody for tuning in to the latest Bears news and rumors. Trade deadline tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You'll know exactly when we go live, probably around 12 Central Time.